Well, I mean, the crucial point of confusion is that we have been sold this meme of Islamophobia, where every criticism of the doctrine of Islam gets conflated with bigotry toward Muslims as people.
Right.
And that is it's intellectually ridiculous. Even it gets
So hold on, are
racism.
you the person who understands the officially codified doctrine of Islam? You're the interpreter of that, so you can say, well, this is...
I'm actually well educated on this topic.
I'm asking you. So you're saying if I criticize you're saying that Islamophobia is not a real thing. That if you're critical of something...
Well, it's not a real thing when we do it.
Right.
Well, no,
it really isn't.
I'm not denying that certain people are bigoted against Muslims as people.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Big of you.
But
why are you so hostile about this
Because
concept?
it's gross. It's racist.
It's not. But it's so not.
It's like saying those stateless, shifty Jew.
You're not listening
Absolutely
to
not.
what we are saying.
You guys are saying if you want to be liberals, believe in liberal principles like freedom of speech, like we are endowed by our forefathers with an inalienable rights, like all men are created equal.
Ben, we have to be able to criticize bad ideas. And
of course we do. No liberal doesn't want to criticize bad ideas.
But Islam at this moment is the motherlode of bad ideas.
Jeez.
In the charged arena of ideas, where liberal values clash with religious traditions, the stakes could not be higher. On one side, we have Bill Maher and Sam Harris, champions of free speech and fierce critics of what they see as the moral failings within Islamic doctrines. They argue that core liberal principles, gender equality, freedom of thought, and rights for minorities are threatened by ideologies left unchallenged in parts of the Muslim world. They stand firm, believing that true progress demands the courage to criticize, even when such criticisms risk accusations of Islamophobia. Across from them stands Ben Affleck, armed with a passionate defense, arguing that these broad strokes fail to capture the reality of over 1 billion Muslims worldwide. To Affleck, their critiques are dangerous, breeding stereotypes and alienating those who reject extremism. He challenges Maher and Harris, contending that they're tarring an entire faith with the actions of a radical few, failing to see the reformers, the peaceful majority, and the overlooked voices that defy extremism from within. In the crucible of real time, where words cut deep, these voices collide, questioning not only Islam but the very soul of liberalism itself.
So we have
That's just
ideas
a fact.
like blasphemy.
It's an ugly
apostasy.
It is
One basic liberal
let me
principle
unpack
is
it.
tolerance.
Let me unpack it.
but not for intolerance.
No, of course not. But the picture you're painting is, to some extent, true, but is hugely incomplete. It is certainly true that plenty of fanatics and jihadis are Muslim, but the people who are standing up to them, Malala, incredible
Malala's
Muhammad Ali
fantastic, yes.
Dadak in Iran, in prison for 9 years for speaking up for Christians. A friend that I had in Pakistan who was shot this year, Rashid Rahman, for defending people accused of apostasy.
Nick,
Or how about the more than 1 billion people who aren't
Muslims
fanatical, who don't punish women, who just want to go to the store,
wait a second.
sandwiches,
Wait a
pray 5 times a day,
second.
and don't do any of the things that you're saying all Muslims
Wait a second.
wait.
stereotyping.
I'm not saying all
You take
Wait a
a few bad
second.
things and you painting the whole group religion with that.
Let
Bill Maher and Sam Harris assert that liberal principles, which they consider the bedrock of a free and just society, must be upheld universally across all cultures and religions. These principles, freedom of speech, gender equality, and the protection of minority rights represent core values that should transcend borders and beliefs. However, Maher and Harris argue that many liberals abandon these ideals when it comes to addressing Islamic societies. They contend that a reluctance to criticize practices within Islam, such as the treatment of women and restrictions on free expression, reveals a double standard. For them, this hesitation stems from a fear of being labeled as bigots or Islamophobes, which, in their view, enables the persistence of oppressive norms and impedes progress. Maher and Harris argue that true liberalism requires the courage to speak out against practices that undermine human rights, no matter where they occur or under what religious justification they are shielded. In their eyes, to remain silent is to compromise on the very values that define liberal society. But Ben Affleck disagrees and is annoyed by these arguments. Let's see how they tackle this issue.
Let's get down to who has the right answer here. 1 billion people, you say. All these billion people don't hold any of these...
1,500,000 or something.
Don't hold these pernicious beliefs?
No,
I would...
no, they don't.
That's just not true, Ben. That's just not true.
Can I just express how I think it breaks down in terms of
The idea...
You haven't even defined
you're trying to say that these few people, that's all the problem is, these few bad apples. The idea that someone should be killed if they leave the Islamic...
That's horrible. That should
Wait.
That is
Wait. You're
center of
saying that the
fairway
idea that
Islam.
someone should be killed if they leave the Islamic religion is just a few bad apples?
The people who would actually believe and enact that you murder somebody if they leave Islam is not the majority of Muslims at all.
Okay,
Is it?
let me break this down for you. Okay, we have, as you say, we have 1.5, 1.6 billion Muslims. Now,
second biggest religion in the world, a quarter.
Well,
Ben,
of
let
the
me unpack this.
population.
Let me unpack this for you.
Please do. I've been waiting.
We have
luggage has been sitting there packed
just
up.
imagine some concentric circles here. You have at the center, you have jihadists. These are people who wake up in the morning wanting to kill apostates, wanting to die trying. They believe in paradise. They
Horrible, bad
believe
people
in martyrdom. Outside of them, we have Islamists. These are people who are just as convinced of martyrdom and paradise and wanting to foist their religion on the rest of humanity, but they want to work within the system. They're not going to blow themselves up on a bus. They want to change governments. They want to use democracy against itself. Those two circles arguably are 20% of the Muslim world. Okay, this is not the
What are you
fringe of the
basing
fringe.
that research on?
A bunch of poll results that we can talk about. So to give you one point of contact, 78% of British Muslims think that the Danish cartoonist should have been prosecuted. 78%. So I'm being conservative when I roll this back to 20%. But outside of that circle, you have conservative Muslims who can honestly look at ISIS and say that does not represent us, that we're horrified by that, but they hold views about human rights and about women, about homosexuals that are deeply troubling. So these are not Islamists, they're not jihadists, but
those views are anathema to ours.
But they also keep women and homosexuals immiserated in these cultures, and we have to empower the true reformers in the Muslim world to change it. And, lying about the link between doctrine and behavior is not going to do that.
The great divide.
Sam Harris presents a nuanced model to explain the diversity of beliefs within the Muslim world, the concentric circles of Islamic belief. At the innermost circle lie jihadists, individuals driven by a radical commitment to violence, martyrdom, and the enforcement of religious doctrine through terror. Harris argues that this group, while small, represents the most extreme and dangerous face of Islam, advocating for violent action against perceived enemies. Surrounding this core is a second circle, Islamists. Unlike jihadists, Islamists do not typically engage in direct violence, but they share similar ambitions: the imposition of Islamic rule, often through political systems. This group, Harris argues, seeks to transform societies from within, using political means to push for religious laws and norms that align with Islamic doctrine. These Islamists might outwardly support democratic processes, but only as a means to replace secular systems with religious governance. Beyond these two groups, Harris points to a third, broader circle of conservative Muslims. Though not inclined toward violence or political upheaval, many within this group hold views that Harris considers at odds with liberal values, particularly concerning women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and freedom of religion. This circle, Harris suggests, encompasses a significant segment of the global Muslim population and reflects deeply rooted beliefs that, while non-violent, can sustain environments that suppress individual freedoms and equality. Through this model, Harris contends that the challenges posed by radical ideologies extend beyond a few extremists, touching on broader culturally ingrained beliefs that can subtly resist liberal ideals. He argues that acknowledging this spectrum of belief is crucial in addressing the complexities of Islamic reform and integration into societies that prize liberal democratic values. Sounds convincing, but let's see how Ben Affleck counters it.
Where was that story to sort of create a different picture?
What is your solution? What is your ask?
No,
just condemn Islam?
the solution. The solution is very much what
we've killed more Muslims than they've killed us by an awful lot. We've invaded more Muslims.
I'm not for more killing.
An awful lot. Yet somehow we're exempted from these things because they're not really a reflection of what we believe in. We did it by accident. That's why we invaded Iraq and put 4 million people.
We're not convincing anybody.
It's not specifically telling you that I disagree with what you think.
I know, and we're obviously not convincing anybody of you.
If you don't understand my argument,
your argument is like, black people, they show each other.
That is not my argument.
No, it's not. It's based on facts. I can show you a Pew poll of Egyptians. They are not outliers in the Muslim world that say like 90% of them believe death is the appropriate response to leaving the religion. If 90% of Brazilians thought that death was the appropriate response to leaving Catholicism, you would think it was a bigger deal.
I would think it's a big deal no matter what.
Okay, but that's the fact.
But what I wouldn't do is say it's all Brazilians, or I wouldn't say, well, Ted Bundy did this. Goddamn, these gays are all trying to eat each other. You know?
Okay, let me just give you what you want. There are hundreds of millions of Muslims who are nominal Muslims, who don't take the faith seriously, who don't want to kill apostates, who are horrified by ISIS, and we need to defend these people, prop them up, and let them reform.
Dude, you're talking ISIS couldn't fill a AA ballpark in Charleston, West Virginia, and you were making a career out of talking about ISIS.
But no, it's not just ISIS. It's all jihadists. It's global. It's a phenomenon of global jihad.
I think that's the opposite of what
There
we're doing.
is those things. There's ISIS, there's global jihadists. The question is the degree to which you're willing to say, because I've witnessed this behavior, which we all object to on the part of these people, I'm willing to flatly condemn those of you I don't know and have never met.
No,
this
is not condemning people. It's ideas.
And,
gotta make
and people who believe in those ideas.
So it's people who believe in
based on reality, Ben. We're not making it up. That in the Muslim world, it is mainstream belief.
This is probably the rare time on his show that Bill Maher can't take control of the game as the host. He's completely silent and lets his guests argue fiercely with each other. Wow, with Bill Maher's talent and smart brain, this is the first time I've seen Bill can't join in and solve the problem. Videos like this won't come around much, so enjoy it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch other interesting videos. Thanks for watching!